All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly Vigil agency team call. Grateful that all of you guys are able to join us today, and just really wanted to express some thankfulness, right, and gratitude. And today, I just really wanted to be, the topic to be right around thankful in the thin times as well as the good times. Why gratitude's important, contagious, and transformational. So gratitude in every season, right? So we acknowledge that life has cycles of abundance um, and scarcity, clarity and confusion, strength and struggle, right? So gratitude isn't about ignoring hardships. It's about anchoring yourself in what is still good, what's present, it's still worth fighting for. Gratitude is a daily discipline. It should not be a reaction, right? So having gratitude in life, seeing what remains, not what's missing. Too often times we always think of, about what's missing rather than, what can we focus on? So it's easy to focus on loss. It's, on things that are being delayed or things that we're lacking, right? And that usually comes during the times of, of thin times. So with gratitude, we trained our mind to see what we still have, who we still are, what God is still doing behind the scenes. Where gratitude grows, resilience grows. And I've always liked that saying, right? So where gratitude grows, resilience grows. When life starts to feel thin, gratitude prevents bitterness from taking root. And I mean, we're all subject to it, right? Whenever things get difficult or when things are hard, it's just one of those things that we start to feel that way. But if we work from a practice of being gracious all the time and having that attitude of gratitude, then we tend not to go down that bitter road, right? And then, so something I like to say, and I don't know, remember who I took this from. It might have been from the Kimbrels, but um, assume positive intent, right? Choosing appreciation over assumption. So gratitude in our families have seasons, right? Like we go through different seasons with our family, with our own relationships, right? So and those different seasons of closeness, of distance, of tension, right? Or breakthrough, our gratitude shifts. So it could be from, hey, why isn't my family supporting me in this business? But in reality, maybe we need to think, I'm grateful that they're here with me through this and they're seeing me through this. Or maybe you need to say, you know what, I'm grateful that my family has not participated in my business yet because it's showing me the character of maybe who they are. And that's still having an attitude of gratitude, right? So a grateful spirit creates, warmth, connection, even healing, right? In those strange seasons. The other one that I wanted to talk about was, gratitude in our health, honoring the body that God gave us, the temple that He gave us. When even when we're not where we want to be physically, just acknowledging that with gratitude. We have the ability to breathe, right? The ability to move, the ability to get up every single day. One of my prayers every single day is just being grateful for the ability to rise that day, for opening my two eyes, right? Those are the gifts of the day. Lisa Kimbrell says that all the time, right? I was given two gifts today. I opened both of my eyes. And when our health tends to be hurting or lagging, right? Gratitude becomes motivation rather than us being discouraged. When we have that attitude of gratitude, we know, hey, look, for whatever reason, I'm being told to rest right now. My body is breaking down because I need to just take some time maybe for myself. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? And then the other part of, health is when our gratitude transforms from when I have to do something to I get to do something. And then another part of gratitude is wealth, right? Appreciating little before wanting more. So financial seasons fluctuate, and I want everyone to understand that, right? We see that within the leaders of Cemetery, within the leaders of our master agency. We've all had high times and we've all had low times, right? And it's not a matter of, bringing that up for other people, but it's a matter of remembering that and coming from, again, with that gratitude of attitude. And then gratitude keeps you from tying your identity to your bank account. Who you are isn't a reflection of how much money that you have. And if it is, maybe that's another reflection that you need to have. Right. It allows you to steward well with what you do have rather than obsess whatever you don't have. And I mean, I've been guilty of that, right? Comparing ourselves to the Joneses, different things like that. But people who are grateful with little are trustworthy with more. And one of the things that I tell my son all the time is, if I can't trust you with the small things, how am I supposed to trust you with the big things, right? And God tells us that all the time. He says, Michael, if I can't trust you with a lead, to be a leader of your team of 6 agents, how am I supposed to trust you to be an equity partner with a team of 500 agents? Right. So that transitions us right into the gratitude in business, right? A culture is shaped, it's not forced. And that's something I'm learning every single day, right? Grateful leaders create loyalty, energy, optimism, morale, right? And all of that becomes very contagious. Teams mirror the emotional tone of their leaders, and that's something I'm having to learn every single day. I always tell myself, and this is part of that self-talk, right, is not being able to or saying that I'm not a transformational leader, I'm not a great motivational speaker. I need to learn how to change that, right? So gratitude is contagious. And when I get to participate, in the accountability group every morning at 9 a.m., and get to listen to the leaders like Jim Larson, Sarah Reineke, Scott Schnitzer, I I'm part of that contagious attitude that they have, right? So my attitude becomes more, and then I get to feel the room's temperature and the atmosphere. So a grateful team is a resilient team, and that's something that I'm working and striving towards, right? And then gratitude and happiness, the true source of joy. That is where joy comes from, right? And something, if you want to look at it another way, right? So comparison is the thief of joy. And when you're comparing yourself to others, you're comparing yourself to their happiness rather than your happiness and where your heart comes from, right? So happiness doesn't come from conditions. Our happiness comes from a perspective of where do we see ourselves? Are we grateful that we're sitting here today and we're not sitting in a hospital room? Are we grateful that we're sitting here today, being able to be on Zoom and not out on the battlefield fighting a war in a third world country, right? So gratitude increases as we have peace, as we have contentment, as we have hope, and as our own emotional strength grows. In thin times, gratitude helps keep our joy alive. In the good times, gratitude prevents us from being too prideful. And that's another sin, right? Is being too prideful. So gratitude is a thermostat. If you want to, look at this, gratitude is a thermostat that controls our emotional climate. So what are some practical ways to practice gratitude daily? Say it out loud, right? Say it out loud. Every morning, I pray it out loud to God. I tell my family. I try to send you guys different messages on the team. Maybe not everyone hears from me every day, but I try to rotate through that and just express the gratitude to you guys as well. Write it down, right? Whether it's in the morning or it's in the evening. Look for the small wins. Write down 3 blessings every morning or write them down every night, right? I like to write down 5 wins every night. And what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my health. And then find 3 other things that you're grateful for. Um, and then look for your small wins throughout the day. I mean, that could be especially hard on hard days, but look for those small wins. Hey, a client called me back. I was able to get a reschedule. Maybe that client wasn't approved at the way that you had rated them, but they got approved, right? All those little things. Maybe you found a penny head side up on the ground. That's a little win, right? We have to learn how to appreciate those types of things, especially on days or in seasons of hardness, right? And then express our appreciation intentionally, right? Whether that's sending a message to your family member that you've been struggling with, right? Writing a quick note for yourself. Yet, hey, I am beautiful. I am kind. I am a loving person, right? and just thank yous. Just let people know, right? Just let people know thank you. This morning I sent out a group message on to my men's ministry asking for a land surveyor. And the reason I was looking for a land surveyor is because in my referral group, someone was looking for one and everyone said that they're all booked out till the end of the year. So I made that post there for another group. 5 or 6 people were recommended, and I told them thank you, right? I'm just helping someone else, but those thank yous opened up the door to someone else. Like, hey, Michael, why are you looking for a land surveyor? I thought you were in life insurance. I am, I said, and if you guys ever think of anyone that's looking for life insurance, just remember me, right? So, as I get to the end of this, guys, right? So gratitude is something that you can leave a legacy with, right? So a grateful person leaves a mark on everyone they encounter. And that's one of those things that I want to be known as, right? Someone that had an attitude of gratitude. Gratitude creates momentum in good times, and it keeps you strong during the thin times. It keeps you strong during the hard times, right? So as teammates in this business together, right? I want us to practice gratitude in our life, with family, with health, with wealth, in the business, and in our overall happiness. When we get to choose gratitude, we choose strength. And when we practice it consistently, everyone else catches it. So I hope that this resonated with some of you guys today. And if you guys didn't get a chance to catch this live, that you're catching it on the replay, send me a couple things, a couple takeaways that you think or that you're going to work on when it comes to having an attitude of gratitude. That's it for today. So I'm going to open up to questions.